NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte has delivered the alliance's starkest warning in decades, declaring that war with Russia is no longer a distant possibility, but a threat sitting right at Europe's doorstep. Speaking in Berlin, Rutte said too many European governments had slipped into dangerous complacency while Moscow accelerates its covert and military buildup.
We need to be ready, because at the end of this first quarter of the 21st century, conflicts are no longer fought at arm's length. Conflict is at our door. Russia has brought war back to Europe, and we must be prepared for the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured.
Rutte warned that Russia could be ready to launch military action against a NATO member within just 5 years. Western intelligence agencies have flagged similar risks, though Moscow dismisses them as hysteria. But Europe recalls the pattern too clearly. The Kremlin dismissed invasion warnings in 2022, right before its forces rolled into Ukraine.
NATO's own defenses can hold for now. But with its economy dedicated to war, Russia could be ready to use military force against NATO within 5 years. Russia is already escalating its covert campaign against our societies. Russia's list of targets for sabotage is not limited to critical infrastructure, the defense industry and military facilities.
Earlier this month, Russian President Vladimir Putin said Russia does not plan to go to war with Europe. But he added Russia is ready right now, if Europe wants it or starts it. Analysts say this dual messaging mirrors the pre-invasion narrative of 2022, mixing reassurances with threats. Putin's contradictory statements have done little to ease European fears as NATO warns of accelerating Russian military mobilization.
As the President emphasized, we do not intend to go to war with Europe. We don't even entertain such thoughts. But to any hostile steps, including the deployment of European military contingents in Ukraine and the expropriation of Russian assets, we will respond. We are already prepared to respond. We continue, and this is absolutely not subject to any reconsideration, to pursue an independent foreign policy which implies protecting national interests while simultaneously strengthening the readiness to build multifaceted, beneficial relationships with all who are willing to cooperate with us on equal, respectful terms, based on universally recognized norms of international law.
Rutte accused Russia of transforming itself into a war economy, claiming nearly 40% of its national budget now funds military aggression. He warned that Moscow's war machine relies heavily on China, which supplies critical components used in Russian drones and weapon systems.
Russia's economy is now geared to wage war, not to make its people prosperous. Russia is spending nearly 40% of its budget on aggression, and around 70% of all machine tools in Russia are used in military production. Taxes are going up, inflation has skyrocketed, and petrol is rationed. Putin's next presidential campaign slogan should be "Make Russia weak again." Not that he is troubled by free and fair elections, of course. And how is Putin able to continue his war against Ukraine? The answer is China. China is Russia's lifeline. China wants to prevent its ally from losing in Ukraine. Without China's support, Russia could not continue to wage this war.
Rutte urged European governments to rapidly increase defense production and meet NATO's new 5% GDP defense spending benchmark by 2035. He said allies must abandon illusions that time is on their side.
We are Russia's next target. And we are already in harm's way. I fear that too many are quietly complacent. Too many don't feel the urgency. And too many believe that time is on our side. It is not. The time for action is now.
The NATO chief painted a grim scenario of what could happen if Europe fails to act. A conflict reaching every home and workplace, mass mobilization, millions displaced, and a return to the kind of devastation not seen since the mid-20th century. He insisted this catastrophe is preventable only if NATO accelerates its commitments and strengthens support for Ukraine. Europe now faces a moment of reckoning as NATO pushes allies to prepare for the unthinkable.